How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Box to Box. Hope you're all good. Hope you're all well. Hit the like button first and foremost. There's a big game coming up this weekend, Sunday, 4:30, St. James Park. It's Newcastle, and I've got Matty in the building with me. Matty, what are you saying? You all good?
All good, mate. All good. Good to see you again, bro. You coming up on Sunday? You making that big journey up?
Nah. I've done it.
Mate, he's balled it. Come on, man.
I don't know if we had beaten Southampton and West Ham, maybe you would have saw me up there. But
I bet. Yeah, fair one.
For me, I'm just thinking that the season, the way it's panned out near the end, I think Man City have got it now. Obviously, we're recording this before Man City play Leeds, so if anyone's watching this after the game and Man City somehow drop points, then they're going to be saying, Turkish so negative, we've got a chance and all of this. But, we need City to drop points in 2 games, and not only drop points in 2 games, we need them to lose 1 and draw 1 to even have a chance of finishing top at the end of the season. And we've got a job to do ourselves. And the biggest job is this Sunday, St. James Park, Newcastle, Matty. And the way you lot have been flying, not just recently, but throughout the season, it's going to be a difficult one, to say the least. And we haven't got good memories there when you look back at the end of last season in our top 4 battle. Our top 4 hopes pretty much done and dusted at St. James Park. But it is a new season. It is near the end of this new season. And Newcastle are sitting in 3rd, Matty. Let's start with Newcastle as always. Start with the opposition team. Talk to me, Matty, man. How are you feeling? Because you must be over the moon this season.
Oh, mate, it's absolutely mental. It's crazy how fast this has all happened. Obviously, the takeover gave us like a new lease of life, gave us some hope, something that we never had for years. I mean, you lot would have came up with Newcastle, fancying your chances. Yeah, easy 3 points, especially at the Emirates. It's been that way. St. James Park can get going, but there was never really much hope or point of us going to games. A lot of fans just went to the games out of habit, out of a chore. Do you know what I mean? Just to do something. Whereas now we go, don't want to see the expectations have raised so much so soon, but because we are expecting to get entertained now. Look, we put 6 past your North London rivals the other week. We are playing well every week. We are scoring goals. It's a mental turnaround. It's insane. I mean, 3rd in the league, mate. I think when we did the box to box last season, we would have been about 17th. Do you know what I mean? So the turnaround is crazy. This season's been phenomenal. And look, we fully deserve this top 4, this Champions League. We've been there the majority of the season. And it's hopefully we can see it out, but it's looking good now. And I think a win on Sunday would probably solidify that top 4 now.
I think you not only deserve where you are in the league, but you deserve what's happening at Newcastle as well at the moment. I think, since Mike Ashley had initially come in, owner for pretty much north of 15 years, I believe, and it wasn't good time, to say the least. And I speak to many Newcastle fans. I've been to St. James Park many times, and you've got a massive fan base. You've got a loyal fan base, and I think it's about time that, you saw some success or at the very least start challenging for some success as well. And I think that's on the cards now. Your new owners came in when you was in the relegation zone last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Well, 19th when the owners came in. 5 points adrift. 5 points adrift. Eddie Howe came in. 5 points adrift. And the turnaround's been unbelievable. I mean, and people like to try and point this finger at it's the money, or Newcastle in the top 4 because of the money. Chelsea have spent more than double what we've spent them in the bottom half of the table. So money doesn't get you success. Everton are about to go to the Championship. They've spent loads of money the last few years. Doesn't guarantee nothing. And to be fair, 7 of the 11 players that slapped up Spurs the other week, 7 of them had been here for years, mate. Jacob Murphy was on loan at Sheffield Wednesday a couple of seasons ago. Now he's starting. He's played more minutes than nearly anyone else this season. He's been brilliant. The turnarounds of Almiron, Joe Linton, your boy Joe Willock. Look at the form of Joe Willock now, mate. He's unbelievable. That assist against Tottenham, assist of the season for Isak when he cuts it in like that. The turnaround of these players. Callum Wilson, red hot form. Fabian Shaw, £3 million. He was okay, pretty good under the previous managers. Now he's been amazing this season at the back with Sven Botman. The work that Eddie Howe's done, the work that the owners are doing, we can get excited now because I think this summer we will start to spend as expected. A lot of fans, neutral ones in particular, expected us to go for big household names, not 10 million for Dan Burn, not 10 million for Nick Pope. Champions League business now, mate, and it's time to step it up a notch, and this summer is going to be a busy and exciting one, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting you to have a big summer because, like you mentioned, I think finishing in the top four wasn't necessarily the aim for not only Newcastle fans, but opposition fans looking in thought Newcastle maybe breaks into the top six potentially this season. But the way you've gone about it all season, it's not just recently that you broke into the top four. You've been in and around the top four the whole season. And Eddie Howe, let's start with Eddie Howe because initially you went for Unai Emery. We're seeing Unai Emery good things over at Aston Villa this season. But Eddie Howe has come in and I'm not one of the fans that says this is because of the money, because you spent quite shrewdly, in my opinion. I think you look at the signings, a couple you mentioned there, Nick Pope, Dan Burn, I'll add Trippier to that as well. Obviously, Isak was a big money signing. Botman, I think, was a shrewd signing as well. He's been one of the centre backs of the season. Eddie Howe has knitted it all together quite well. I look at the first half of the season and just past the World Cup, where you played us at the Emirates, and the main thing about Newcastle was how do we break them down? How do you break Newcastle down? The most clean sheets, the best defensive record in the league. But in recent times, that's changed a little bit. I think you found some more confidence in the attacking third and more efficiency in the midfield too. Hence why you're scoring more goals. And okay, you're not keeping the same number of clean sheets and defensive solidity that you had at the first part of the season, but this is part of the growth, in my opinion. And so, how well has Eddie Howe done? I mean, as a Newcastle fan, Matt, you've been waiting for something like this for a long time now, and Eddie Howe has come in, and within a year, he's started bringing it.
Manager of the season, hands down.
I agree. I actually agree.
If Arsenal won the league, then Arteta would obviously get that award. But for me, it has to be Eddie Howe. I mean, taking relegation for a Champions League within a year is just unheard of. It's just unbelievable. And I think if we had have had Alexander Isak fit, because he was out for 3.5 months. You know what I mean? You mentioned in Newcastle playing better football now, a bit more intensity. We've always had that high press all season, in your face, make life difficult. But we're finding goal scoring run of form now because Joelinton's getting amongst the goals. He's getting forward. Willock's chipping in now. Murphy, Wilson and Isak for the first time can play together or on and off the bench. We've never had those two fit as that option until the last month or so. And when we went to the Emirates, it wasn't pretty. Listen, Newcastle went there and did a job, got the job done. I don't think we'd play like that next season. I hope not anyways. But this season, and it depends what cards you've got at your disposal. I mean, I don't think Eddie Howe in that game had the likes of an Alan St. Maxton, had the likes of an Alexander Isak. I think Bruno Guimaraes maybe just came back from injury or wasn't available either. So he found a way to win and he found a plan and it worked. And I think that speaks volumes for him as well. Because look at Pep Guardiola does it. He can change things up. And I think that's what might have cost Arsenal this season. Certain games where you should have been a bit more shrewd. You should have probably shut opposition out. You shouldn't be going goals down to Southampton and stuff. Things like that. You have to have different plans and different approaches to the opposition. And Eddie Howe does that. And at home in particular, he'll go gung-ho. He'll go for it. He wants to entertain. He wants to please the 50,000 Geordies. And that's why he gets us. He gets the city, gets the fan base. And it is such an amazing time. And like I was saying, I think if we did have Isak fit and firing from early on, I'll tell you what, we wouldn't have been far off a title, George. I really don't. I really think we could have done. I don't think we would have got it because I think City would have done what they've inevitably done to you. But honestly, what are we? 8 points off Arsenal? 10 points off?
13 with a game in hand.
13 with a game in hand. So with that, and we had some loads of dodgy VAR decisions at the start of the season as well, where Amanda Staveley, the owners, had to sit down and speak to the Premier League about it. We've had loads of injuries. So honestly, I think we could have pushed. And it shows how well we've done this season that I'm saying that I want third. Though. I want us to finish third now. I think Sunday is huge and I want third because I want to finish above Man United. I said in the fan cam last season to Cecil, there's one United in the Premier League now and it's Newcastle. I don't want to hear no Man United, flexing all that KG with these silly Bruno, which is the better Bruno and all that bollocks. There's only one Bruno, mate. There's only one United. I want third. mate.
You're on third, and to be honest, I think you deserve third at the very least this season. And one player you mentioned, Isak. I mean, I want to talk about him a little bit because he was heavily linked to Arsenal last January. Newcastle got the signing over the line, like you mentioned. He's been out for a few months with an injury this season, but his recent form, you can see some real quality in there. You mentioned Joe Willock and his assist against Tottenham. I mean, Isak tried to beat that a few days later. I know officially it wasn't given to him as an assist, I believe, because of the deflection.
Mm.
But what a run, and it's not only that run that he's produced in the past few games or the past few weeks. He's really coming to his own as a player. Eddie Howe has likened him to Thierry Henry a little.
Thierry Isak. Do you know what I mean? Stay with me. He is something else, man. 60 million raised a few eyebrows, didn't it? Because his goal scoring record wasn't. I think he scored 6 goals in the league last year. He's already got double figures for us this season, with missing a large chunk of the campaign. But what he brings to the side, the way he plays football, it's an absolute joy to watch. It's quite unorthodox at times, the way he runs, but Eddie Howe was asked in press conferences, can you see comparisons? He said, yes, I can see the similarities. I can see the style of play, the way he moves the ball. He's quite dangly at times. He's quite skinny with it. His legs, but the way how he controls the ball so well and keeps it so close to his feet, and wangles his way out of defenders. I mean, that Everton assist was sensational, man. Like, he's took on 5, 6, 7 players, glued to his foot, keeps it in the byline, puts it on a plate. But you've seen him in front of goal as well. He's been clinical in front of goal, and he's got a bright future. I'm absolutely buzzing that he's signing for Newcastle. That 60 million is going to look like a bargain now for me. He's only 23 years old, and this is his debut season. It's incredible. And I know Arsenal fans, I remember when we first signed Isak, and I made a video of it on my channel, and hell are Arsenal fans in the comments in the chat saying, I thought we were going to get Isak. Isak was ours. There's loads of compilation videos on YouTube of welcome to Arsenal, Alexander Isak. Do you know what I mean? Because he was bound to sign for you, wasn't he? I think he'd even asked questions on it before. But I'm really glad he didn't, mate, because he's an absolute star.
And he seems to be pushing Callum Wilson as well, who's really hit some good form recently as well. I think he's on 15 goals in the league now. Callum Wilson, a player who himself has had injury problems over the years. Joe Willock, ex-Arsenal boy, you've mentioned him already. I think he's grown in his time at Newcastle. Newcastle fans seem pretty happy with what he's been producing for the club. But this summer, I mean, what areas do you want to improve on this summer? We've talked about where you want to finish. We've talked about a couple of your key players. And I say a couple because that's not to say Trippier hasn't been key for you guys this season. Nick Pope has been key for you guys this season. Bruno Guimaraes has been key. Fabian Schär has been key. I think the whole starting 11 have all been key for Newcastle this season. It's a real team effort. But this summer, what areas do you want Newcastle to improve on? What areas do you think you'll improve on?
Well, I'm hearing we're after a certain Scottish left back, Turkish, Mr. Kieran Tierney. So I think he could be a good start, because as well as Dan Burn's done, you need an all-rounder, I think, a bit more of an all-rounded left back. And I think Tierney ticks those boxes for us. Going forward, his athleticism, his effort, bit of leadership mentality as well. He looks like he'll fight for you. So I don't know what the truth is in that. Do you think Tierney will join Newcastle?
I think there's a strong possibility, Matty. I'll be honest. I mean, you've seen the limited game time he's got this season. Newcastle's a lot closer to Scotland than London is, that's for sure. And he's got very close ties to Scotland. So I think it's a very big possibility. I guess it all depends on the fee and how much he wants to play first team football, because we are in Champions League next year. There has been question marks about Zinchenko recently in terms of how adept he is defensively, but we're still yet to really see Tierney enough, in my opinion. So I think if Newcastle come in with a bid and ruffle some feathers, I do expect to see Kieran depart. And I love Kieran Tierney. I think he's a proper old school fullback. Like you mentioned, he's a leader. He's got defensive nous, but he's also got efficiency in the final third too. Very different attacking fullback to Zinchenko, who brings the overload in midfield, comes in, takes a hell of a lot of touches on the ball. Tierney can kind of break the lines down the left-hand side, overlap well. So I think you'll be getting a player if you are to come in for him. I mean, on your side, how strong are the rumours? Do you think you will be making a bid?
Very strong, very strong. I'm hearing they're going to put in about a £30 million bid for him. Eddie Howe really wants him. He's up there on the top of his list, to be honest, in terms of the need, because with Newcastle, when you mentioned, the starting 11's good, but the bench, not so much. Now we've got kind of Gordon to bring off the bench, maybe St. Maximin. So it is better, but if you're playing Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, like we hopefully will be, we're going to need a really, really big summer, at least 5 or 6, and the good quality 5 or 6 as well, not just where you used to sign someone for 10 million to do a job. Like, we need decent players to come through the door now. And if Tierney's one of them, hopefully James Maddison will be another one. I'd maybe look at up front as well, because Wilson's injury record, it's not great. So you could get a younger striker to maybe battle him, or ideally you'd be like
Harry Kane.
Oh mate, I would take him definitely. Harry Kane. Yeah, I would have him. We look at his goal scoring record. If he's going to break Alan Shearer's record, he may as well do it for Newcastle. Mainly, do you know what I mean? So if he's going to become the all-time goal scorer, let him do it up here. And I tell you what, these owners aren't messing about. So that would do bits for us commercially, marketing-wise around the world. Newcastle United saying England's captain. Do you know what I mean? That would sell shirts. That would reach out to more people, because that's what these owners want. Look, we've got our Amazon documentary like you've had. We've got that coming this summer. So they're trying to get all eyes on Newcastle like Tupac, you know what I mean? So they want the attention. So hopefully we can sign a Kane. Would be amazing, mate. I'm not sure if we would put that much money on one player. I think we would maybe go for someone younger, or maybe an Ivan Toney, who would cost slightly less. But I'd go Maddison. I would go Tierney. And then they're trying big. They're on about big, like trying to tempt Declan Rice to come. Now, I'd be surprised at that as well, because he's probably going to go to you. Are you still interested in him? He may go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but like people are thinking, it might sound mad, but we're the third best team in England at the minute. We've got all the money. We've got a great project. We're going to be playing Champions League. So you got to switch the mentality up now. Do you know what I mean? It's not, this is the new Newcastle and this is the way it's going to be. So I don't want to sound cocky with it, because I'll be honest, I don't think we're going to get Rice. I think he will still choose someone else. He will probably prefer to stay in London, wouldn't he? But if you can get someone along those calibers, maybe Savic from Lazio, something like that, like where he's a really strong player. That's who we should be looking at. I think someone like that, and then a winger as well, mate, and then just beef up the squad.
Yeah, I mean, look, the bar's been raised, and I don't see it as cocky or arrogant. I think once the bar has been raised, you need to kind of raise your standards with it too. So going for those sorts of players when you have the type of ownership you have, I think it's well within your right. Yes, you might be ahead of schedule in the process, as a lot of Arsenal fans are saying with Arsenal. This is the third step of a 5-point plan and all of this stuff. But let's, both Newcastle fans and Arsenal fans need to take this season. The bar's been raised. It cannot be lowered anymore. And we both need to use what we've done this season, albeit we haven't won a trophy, but use what we've done this season to try and attract the best talent we can attract to kind of improve and kick on and add some depth, add some competition, and, go into the Champions League next season, both of us, with some intent rather than make up the numbers. So I expect Newcastle to do business. I mean, just off the top of my head, Trippier one side and Tierney another side, your fullbacks would be in a very strong position next season. Maddison coming in, adding some goals from a midfield position, that will be quality too. Toney, I mean, I'd love Toney at Arsenal, something different, but with the betting allegations and the pending ban that I expect to be put on him, considering what Trippier got for his breaches a few years ago, I'm expecting Toney to potentially get the same, if not worse. I think that would probably be a risk for either of our clubs to go in for him and spend the money that would take him away from Brentford. But it's good times at Newcastle at the moment. And, as much as the season has ended the way it's ending the way it's ending for Arsenal, top of the league for the majority, taking a step back from it emotionally, I mean, we have made progress, and we've got to use this progress to try and kick on now. I do want to slightly move the conversation onto Arsenal a little bit. At St. James Park, Matty, looking at Arsenal, we've just bounced back with a win against Chelsea. Probably the best side to play when you're in a bad streak at the moment is Chelsea, because they've been terrible all season, and more recently even worse. Who do you need to keep quiet? Usually when I ask this question throughout the season, the answer tends to be Saka. It has been Odegaard quite a few times too, but Saka recently, I think he's quietened down a little bit. Yes, he's still scored a goal here or made an assist here. Yeah, that's what it seems like. So who do you think Newcastle have to keep quiet on Sunday in order to take the 3 points and get a result?
I think the easy answer would be Odegaard, but I'll go with Martinelli. I think if Martinelli down that left, I think he could have some joy, perhaps. If we can get him behind, stretch the legs, because he's a player for me, and I think he goes under the radar a bit because of Saka or because of Odegaard or whatever, But I think the midfield's going to be important as well. I think Joe Linton or Bruno's got to get stuck in against Granit Xhaka and that, and show them who's boss. Because if we let him or use have time on the ball there, you could see a bit of it. But yeah, for me, mate, I think Martinelli is very dangerous. And even Jesus, man, I think Jesus got a good record against Newcastle. He's back now, isn't he? So
yeah,
he may fancy it. But when I look at us, mate, it's just so nice to be in a position where we're playing so well, and I'm just like,
yeah,
I fancy us, whoever we come up against at the minute.
You're eagerly awaiting the next game. I know how you feel, Matty. And for Arsenal to get a result, who's the main threat for Newcastle that we'll have to keep quiet? I mean, we've mentioned Isak, we've mentioned Callum Wilson, we've mentioned Joe Willett, we've mentioned Bruno Guimaraes, you mentioned Saint Maximin as well. Who is the player that Arsenal have to kind of keep an eye out for?
I'd say it has to be Alexander Isak at the moment. I'm intrigued to see if Eddie Howe will start Isak and Wilson together. Obviously, they've been bouncing off each other. It's been a competition. It's been lighting the fire under one another. Who's going to come off the bench? Who's going to score the goals? But he could look to play Isak down the left and Wilson down the middle if he wanted. He probably won't. He'll probably still start one or the other as the 9, probably Isak, and then maybe bring Wilson on. But Wilson just came off the bench and scored a brace. Normally, you'll 1 week it's Wilson, next week it's Isak. So maybe it'll be Wilson. But I think Isak could really get at Ben White, really get at Zinchenko, depending on what side he's on. So I think you've got to look out for Isak. His form at the minute, his confidence. We mentioned the Everton assist. We mentioned just his overall performances. Spears, just a killer, an absolute killer in front of goal. Everything he's touched in the minute is going in. So I'd say you'd have to be wary of Thierry Isak.
Thierry Isak, and to be honest, with the close links that were made with Arsenal less than 18 months ago, I'm sure he's gonna wanna produce something. So you're confident, Matty? I can sense it from the conversation so far. Are you confident about this Sunday?
I am it, yeah. I don't think it's going to be easy. I think, in a way, I kind of wish that you were still a bit closer in the title race, so the game had a bit more riding on it. Because I think, obviously, you still have to come here, get a win, while it's still possible for you winning the league, as much as we might think it's gone because of City. It's still mathematically there. It still could happen. Stranger things have went against it, but Newcastle is still fighting for top 4 as well. It's not secured. It's not done and dusted. We need to go out. This is our penultimate home game of the season. We need to go out there and put on a show. Show everyone was serious. And I think I do wish that you were still closer, so it would be a bit more on it. But for me, the fans are going to be dead up for it. The atmosphere will be bouncing. You've seen what it was like last year when we won 2-0. That's what I'd take every week now, mate. I mean, the St. James's Park is an unbelievable place to be right now. Everyone's buzzing. And I think we'll go in on Sunday with that same attitude. I don't think it'll be easy on Sunday. I don't think you'll lie down. I think it will be harder than last season. But I'm confident, bro. I'm going to say a 2-1 Newcastle win.
Straight in with the prediction, 2-1 Newcastle win. I'm not as confident as you, Matty, that's for sure. I mean, as much as we played Chelsea and bounced back and got the win, that second half didn't really impress me. We allowed Chelsea to get back into it. They grew back into it. And I think against a better team, we potentially concede another goal, and it's all hands on deck in the last 10, 15 minutes. As we saw recently, 2-goal leads don't necessarily mean anything at the moment in regards to Arsenal Football Club. But I do think it's going to be a good game. I don't think it's going to be like the Emirates fixture where, you just completely stifled us, nullified all of our threats and got out of there with a point. I think you will go for it, especially the form and mood that the team are in, the fans are in. I think you will go for it. And in terms of a prediction, I'm going to say 2-2, but that's just me hoping. And people might find it strange that I'm hoping for a point. That's because, similar to the City game at the Etihad, I'm struggling to see us beat Newcastle at this moment in time. If we were to do that, then, we still need Manchester City to drop points and open the doors a little bit for us to get back into the title race. But this is a big one, because if we don't win, if it does end 2-2, then I think the title, especially for the most positive fans out there, with all the hope and the belief that in the final 3-4 games something can happen, I think that will dampen any fires out there. So I'm going to go 2-2. Fingers crossed we can get the win. But I'm gonna reiterate that Newcastle fans do deserve the moment that they're in at this moment in time, and all the good things that I expect Newcastle to move forward into over the next few years. I think Newcastle have well and truly arrived this season. I expect a big summer, and I expect nothing less than top 4 for Newcastle moving forward. It is a tough league, and you're not the only big spenders in the league, but so far the way you've spent, the way you've gone about it, I mean, some of the big 6 or the traditional big 6 clubs, can look over and learn a thing or two at the very least. So you're going 2-1 Newcastle. I'm going 2-2. People in the comment section, leave your predictions as well. Maybe you're more positive than me. Maybe you're more pessimistic than me. I want to see what the predictions are saying in the comment section below, because this is a big one. Make sure you hit the like button. Matty, let them know where they can find you. I'm going to tag your channel in the title as well, as always.
Nice one, bro. Everyone go check out the Magpie Channel TV on YouTube and at the Magpie Channel on Instagram and that as well, bro. Thanks for having us, mate. I look forward to Sunday, and hopefully you're right. Hopefully this is the start of things. Hopefully it's the 90s all over again, mate. Both were on the right track, so don't worry about it. Head in the right direction, bro.
Yeah, maybe this time next season it'll be a title decider between us two. Fingers crossed.
That'd be tasty. That'd be tasty. Come up for that one, mate. You come up for that one, eh?
I'll be there for that one. Don't you worry about that, Matty. It's a pleasure as always. Like I said, people, I'm tagging Matty's channel into the title, so make sure you follow, subscribe, do all of that. Newcastle are onto big things, so make sure you're following Matty for all the Newcastle content. Make sure you're following AFTV. You're subscribed right here, notification bell on, and hit the like button. Love for the love, people. We'll be back real soon. Peace.